Calling all real estate sales professionals, red alert, red alert, red alert. Malaysian property business may experience a phase of bust or boom in the near future. Read on and be forewarned. Because we be must prepared to enjoy or suffer the unpredictable future. True or not? Believe me, a ray of hope is now shining because the government is prepared to stabilize the real estate industry for the better or worst, especially on issues of rental of properties between tenants and landlords. Also, it concerns the rent controls, the unsavoury practice of money, the eviction of tenants without a court order, the rights of landlords to accept tenants that they deem suitable, the issue of getting enough rental income from tenants to fulfill their duties. Additionally, the question of undue damage to the property and its usage of security deposit. Does these predicaments sound familiar? Fear not. The rest of this newsletter will reveal more. Happy? Remember, there is often a omen statement that everyone must be aware any tenancy laws must be fair to keep free from unsavoury practices. That said, let's discuss further on a report found in a leading newspaper. Georgetown, excessive government interference in a free market can stifle growth, especially when it comes to urban development, say some property experts and investors. While some aspects of the Residential Tenancy Act will protect both landlords and tenants, a few clauses may yield unintended backlashes that will stifle growth. Henry Butcher Penang Executive Vice President Sean Ong said for some, any attempt to control how rental amounts are set or raised may cause landlords to lose the means to fulfill their duties to keep their properties in good maintenance, leading to whole swaths of homes to eventually be in a state of disrepair. It is a free market now. To be able to attract desirable tenants, landlords sometimes give attractive rental on the first tenancy agreement that is much lower than the market rate, and when the tenancy is renewed, the rental amounts revert to the market rate. If there was a cap on the percentage of rental amount that can be raised, landlords cannot get enough rental income to fulfill their duties while earning a decent income off the property. This can lead to properties in entire neighborhoods being in a state of disrepair, he observed yesterday. Henry Butcher has been a property consultancy in Malaysia for over 3 decades. Ong referenced the repeal of rent control in 1997, which was fully enforced by the early 2000s in Malaysia. Enacted by the pre-independence British government, rent control laws were meant to control the raise of rental, but it eventually led to landlords earning so little that property investment became unattractive. It's also led to the evolution of unsavoury practice of money in which tenants needed to pay a large initial fee that circumvents the legal constricts of rent control to earn the privilege of renting at low rates. Ong said another unfair intent of the Residential Tenancy Act is the possibility of preventing landlords from refusing to accept a tenant unwilling to pay the asking rate on grounds such as gender, creed, age, or job nature. He stressed that property owners should be given the right to accept tenants that they deem suitable. It is unfair to dictate who the landlord can or cannot rent out to. It is their individual right to choose, he added. There are, however, other aspects of the RTA that Ong feels would provide win-win protection and benefit to both tenant and landlord. One is the possibility that landlords cannot evict tenants without a court order. This is fair, and it is actually the current market practice. If there is a stubborn tenant who has breached the contract, landlords do make police reports first and seek aid from the authorities to regain possession of the property. Another crucial element in the RTA may be the provision of the win-win protection and benefit to both tenant and landlord, which is done in many developed countries. This will protect both landlords and tenants. If there is any undue damage to the property, the landlord has the right to deduct the cost of repairs from the security deposit. There are some tenants who want their landlords to deduct their final monthly rental payments from the security deposits, which will mean that the landlords will have trouble seeking compensation for undue damage. At the same time, tenants will always be assured that their security deposits will be returned to them at the end of their tenancy agreements, Ong added. End of news. Extracted and modified from open printed source. By the way, come to think of it, we know it is a lengthy real estate newsletter, especially on the issue of the tenancy laws. Should one that be honest so as to maintain it free from unsavoury practices by both tenants and owners. In line with the RTA Act, some serious concerns can arise which have unfair clauses that may lead to excessive government interference in a free market. Additionally, if implemented poorly, It can result in the landlords losing the funds to fulfill their obligations. It could result in that owners being unable to keep their properties in good condition. The law, if done not in favor of owners, it could prevent them from accepting a tenant who is unwilling to pay the asking rent for reasons such as gender, creed, age, or type of occupation. On the other hand, the law must provide win-win protections and benefits for both tenants and landlords. The law should include the provision that any unreasonable damage to the property, the landlord has the right to deduct the cost of repairs from the security deposit. Conversely, tenants also want their landlords to deduct their last monthly rent payments from the security deposit. This could mean landlords will struggle to claim compensation for unreasonable damages. That said, then we ask ourselves, does this really matter to us as sales and marketing property professionals? Personally, since we have committed to this type of business, we must take all necessary steps to make this real estate business great again in spite of the COVID-19 pandemic. To close this newsletter, allow me to quote the famous word of J.F. Kennedy. All right. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. With this high note, I will gladly end this weekly bulletin. P.S. Needless to say, since you have read this property news, you are entitled to more free bonus gifts of free chapters from the book How to Prospect for Your Ideal Customer. Lest you forget, these sharing will continue in WhatsApp, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and of course in our club's president email, josephsefng@gmail.com, upon request. Alright, thank you again. We hope to meet you in our next week newsletter. Goodbye and best wishes. From me, Madam Florence, the virtual assistant to author C.T.M. Joseph. Extracted and modified from open printed sources. Dated March 18, 2022 year.